You know, just a documentary of Mr. Michael Dowd, and just, you know, to me is like, it's good to be able to have him on with us this evening just so we can be able to just kind of talk shop, not just the corruption inside police departments, but also just in general. Like, I feel like this, Philly, like in life, I mean, I think we've always kind of touched on, you know, it's always been a lot of corruption going on, not just in police departments, but, you know, it's been this way before, you know, Mike took the stage, you know what I mean, as far as being able to put together this documentary. Some got caught, some didn't. Some is still, you know, able to speak their facts on what's going on or what has happened, but it's going to be a good look to be able to have them on.
Oh, yeah, man, I'm hyped for it. You know, and what's crazy is when I was a kid, I used to hear about Michael Dowd because him and my father grew up in the same neighborhood. So I heard about him growing up, kind of, and I'm sitting home a few months ago, and I'm watching TV, I'm flipping through, and I see the 7-5 precinct, Michael Dowd. I'm like, whoa, hold on, really, wait. So I pick up the phone. I'm like, yo, Pops, it's Michael Dowd, the 7-5 precinct. Is that it? He's like, man, come over. So I went over. We watched the documentary, man, and I couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? Because it's the inside perspective of a guy who was there, who really did it. He lived it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And we actually have him on, and he's brought to you by the MikeDowd.com. And once again, the 7-5, it is actually on Amazon. You can watch it on your Showtime app. And if you haven't caught it, I definitely suggest you make that purchase. You can go get it. And actually, if you Google anything when it comes to the 7-5 or Michael Dowd, you'll be able to see all the information, not just the trailer that we just played this evening, but also just all the facts and figures. And we have this good man right here, Mr. Michael Dowd, live on Nexxlegacy Radio. Sir, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. It's been a long time coming. Phil and I have been trying to put this together for a little bit now. And are you there? Oh, okay. My phone made some noise. Yeah, Phil and I have been trying to put this together, and it was very touching for me to hear from a kid who's related to the old block over on Charter Oaks Avenue in Brentwood. So I'm happy to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to be able to have you on, and I'm going to get right to it because I had a chance to take a look at the documentary, and again, I'm going to continue to push and press this going forward that people should definitely check it out, pick it up on Amazon. You can watch it on your Showtime app. It is called The 7-5. It is a documentary put together, and I want to ask you to start off the motivation behind just basically kind of piecing together everything that you allegedly went through, things of that nature. How was this all put together and part of your team as far as everything that kind of transpired doing this work?
You mean putting together the documentary is what you're saying, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, because a lot of other stuff took place. But anyway, so I did my time. I came home. I finished my probation. I was getting a life for myself and moved on with my life. And I was doing okay. You know, some struggles because it's hard to get a job when you're a convicted felon in this country, no matter what they say. And so some financial struggles and kicking the can once in a while and just keep moving forward. Trying not to turn backwards into the old life. And I got a phone call, actually a girlfriend of mine got a phone call from somebody, said he's my agent or something, and he'd like to talk to me. And anyway, I got on the phone with a guy named Tilla Russell from All Free Media out in L.A., and they said that the executive producer, Eli Holtzman, grew up back in the day, and he saw me on the Mullen Commission hearings in 1990, I think it was 3. And he was riveted, and he said, one day I want to do something about this. And so here they reached out to me. They got together, and they said to me, they're going to do it with me or without me. And, I had put this all behind me. My life was moving forward slowly, but it was moving forward.
Right.
And they said they're going to do a documentary about the Mullen Commission, and they'd like my participation if willingly, and if not, they're going to just take some old clips and stuff from Barbara Walters, from Mike Wallace, and a bunch of these other shows I had done. And I said, you know what, if you're going to do something, come see me, and I'll tell you what you really should do it about. And then, so you see, they sort of listened to me, which was good to see, because most times in the media, they do what they want. But pretty much they listened to me, and they got themselves what I think is a damn good, I don't know how many documentaries are rated as highly as this one, but this one was amazing. And even though there's some things in there that I'm not very proud of, I'll be honest, but
Right.
Came out. You can't hold my attention span very long, but I didn't move. Once after 3 minutes into the film, I locked and loaded, and I knew the ending. I knew what the ending was.
And Mike, And Mike, that was the thing that kind of shook, that kind of took me is I couldn't, you know how it is. You take a little break here and there, you pause it, right, then you get back to it. But I couldn't do that just for the simple fact that there was so much details that came with it, and it would have had to come from you. And you said just a little while ago that they were probably going to go through it with or without you. But when you added your facts to everything that was being put together, like, to me, I think it's great. I think people should take it. Definitely, and just be caught up in it. But when it's all said and done, you're comfortable with this being put out there the way that it was, based on everything that you were into at that particular time. Well,
comfort levels. You adapt. We're creatures of nature, survivalists. I'm not very. Look, my mother's not proud of this documentary. But
right.
I'm the one who has to. I'm the one who has to face it every day. I'm the one who answers down the questions. I'm the one who, at the time I really was kicking the can for some work, and I was hoping for something to come along, in a positive way. And when this came along, I had a choice. One of my things, you sink or you swim. Just like when I joined the police force. I wanted to quit and go home and go back to school. When I hit East New York, I'm like, wait a minute, this is when Daddy says either you sink or you swim, son. So I put on my big boy pants and I started to swim. So it's just things are different. Life is interesting due to this, but it's not a proud thing. But it was very well done. It was very, very close to accurate. I argue with the ending with the thing with the kidnapping thing, because that's not reality, but it is something that was factual, but not reality. If that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah. When you hear in the documentary they mention like some of the highlights, you hear Crook wearing a cop's uniform. At that particular time, did you feel like that was accurate at that time, or was that something that it was a little bit of an understatement or whatnot?
Well, you got to realize something. When and there's you can't justify your behavior. Okay, when you do something wrong, we all rationalize, right? But there's no justification for it. Fact is, I did wrong. I knew I was doing wrong, and I tried to rationalize or justify by saying, look, these guys are dealing the dope, and I'm taking just from bad guys. And that's really how and the department doesn't want me making arrests because it just clogs up the system. And people don't understand if they got to harken back to the era of crack. And I don't know your particular age, but, I just was going over the numbers. We had average like 2,000 to 2,500 murders a year in New York City at that time. Today, a busy year is like 400 or 500 murders, even maybe 600 murders. So crack was like Hurricane Sandy, Superstorm Sandy come whipping into New York City and took out, half the population's homes and stuff. Well, that's what crack did to both the police department and the community. It just ripped it apart. So I don't know if that makes a point there.
No, that makes a perfect point. And Michael Dowd is our guest on Nexxlegacy Radio, hosted by iambranded Philly. And before Philly asks you a question too, like, you mentioned you go back to the crack epidemic and how lethal it was, not just in NYC. I'm out here in California, so I knew how it was in LA and the Bay Area and stuff like that. And it's, it always has a story to tell. I feel like personally, everybody has a hand in it. And you mentioned like, there was a lot of wrong you did, but there's a lot of wrong that we all do in general. So it's kind of like, in my opinion, I can never really throw any shade or cast any stones at anybody else who's did whatever, but you learn from those as you go. So, when you look back on just the epidemic that was crack, did it come at a perfect time for certain people to really kind of dig in and just say, hey, you know what, I'm going to take advantage of this epidemic right now and make some money off of it?
Well, first of all, the police department was in a transition at that time as well. It had just come off the back of the Knapp Commission and a hiring freeze in the 70s in New York City. So, like the economic downturn in the mid 70s, when New York City was like almost bankrupt and the whole shebang, they didn't hire any cops. So now they hired, like I want to say, in 3-year span, they hired like 9,000 police officers, which are young kids, basically. We call them men, but the fact is they're 21, 22 years old with very little life experience. Thrust into a situation like, go out there, put your finger in the dike and hope it don't explode.
Right.
There's 9,000 young kids, okay? Let's call them what they were, young kids, young men, whatever. I mean, no disrespect, but, the fact is, it's not a 35, 40-year-old seasoned man or woman, whoever happened to be. These kids were fresh out of college or they had a paper route, and then now they got a gun and a badge and crack is taken off. And, 9 times out of 10, the young cops did the right thing. But, if you do a 10% number, there's 40,000 cops. That's, I don't know, 10% is $4,000. But anyway, I know a little bit about math. So,
it all adds up, right, Mike? The money adds up.
There's numbers on every side of the fence here, and I don't diminish my own complicity to this whole thing because I am responsible for what I did. Now, people blame me for people's deaths. I'm like, geez, really? Okay, whatever. Like if I made a left instead of a right, I could have run somebody over or not, right? I mean, that's so it's a domino effect of the things that we do in life, and to tell you the truth, I have to. Here's my perspective today. I'm one of the guys who can actually tell the story because I've paid and lived it. And there are many cops. There are many cops who have lived my story, but they haven't paid, and they don't want to. So, and good for them. Stay in the shadow.
Right.
And I'll take all the accolades, positive and negative, mostly negative. But the fact is that we need to have these stories told in order that we don't have them repeat themselves and that we can learn. I mean, good dialogue is what it's all about. Am I wrong? Or you tell me. Hello?
I'm here. We're here. We're here.
I'm saying a good dialogue is what this is all about. And my
absolutely.
question to you is, what do you think? I mean, that's why we do these things, So
no, I completely agree, and I think that to me, especially in this world that we live in, I feel like again, it's one of those things where we can't cast or throw no shade to any of the situations that goes on, but but when we spotlight the police department and we put them into a box, I guess you could say, and when you go through your career as one, and you see, like, in general, like, we still have corrupt cops in, you can go to any state, any city, any place. I mean, there's always going to be 1 or 2 or 3 or more that's going to be able to have, an option to do dirt. So, in your percentage, in your opinion, like, what do you feel like is the high rate as far as a percentage-wise that there is going to always be a continuous of cops? But then, like you said earlier, when you cast a shadow on this, you want to try to get some of those people out, of course. But there's a high percentage, right? There's got to be.
Of guys that are doing right, I think. I don't think there's a high percentage of corruption, to be honest with you. It's nothing like it was in the 80s. Okay. I mean, I see the things that come to light today, and let's be clear. There's differences between corrupt acts and acts of violence, So and the difference is clearly, a corrupt act is a sneaky thing, the guy's robbing something or taking money or taking freaks, whatever they can get away with. Now there's violence that's uncalled for, and we know, I mean, we can touch the topic briefly here. I don't like to get into it too much because every situation is unique to itself. If I see someone get shot seven times in the back, I'm not too happy about that either. Okay, let's be honest. All right, no way is. And any cop that condones that, probably he needs to be checked too. So there's oftentimes very clear evidences of wrongdoing and misbehavior, and to defend anybody in that situation you're in an indefensible position. And now that doesn't mean the guy's a rogue piece of dirt. I mean, maybe the guy just panicked. But his panic cost someone their life. So it's never a good thing when a cop makes a mistake. You're asking a human being to do the job of a robot, really. I mean, let's be fair. You have to have no emotional involvement in your, like, I got to arrest you. Like, I'll give you a funny story. So I go to arrest a guy. His name is Marky B from the Fat Boys. I don't know if you heard this story, right? So
I haven't, but please continue.
So Marky D, I don't know who he is. Right? All I know is there's this guy getting out of the back of a Cadillac with the boomerang. I don't know if you guys know the boomerang antenna they used to have back in the day on the back of the Cadillac. Well, that
I remember.
That means the guy had a little bit of money, a little something going on, right? And now you're in the hood, and this guy gets out, medium skin, puts a bag and tucks the bag as soon as he sees me. I said, oh, God, he got something in the bag, right? He tucked it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working with a rookie cop. I said to the kid, you want a gun collar? He goes, yeah. I've never had a gun collar. It's his first day on patrol with Mike Dowd, right? I go, all right, you want a gun collar? Great. So this gentleman goes into the bodega, and I go, okay, he's in the bodega. He goes, really? I go, follow me, kid. So we go into the bodega. We walk inside, and there's this heavy-set guy, probably 300-plus pounds, 5'10". Where's the bag? What bag? The little pouch you had in your hand there, with the gun in it. He goes, how are we talking? I don't know what you're talking about. I said, oh, really? So the store owner, I said to the store owner, if the bag's behind the counter there and it's got a gun in it, you're going to jail. The store owner takes the bag, hands it to me, and goes, here. So I go, okay.
Oh, wow.
So the guy looks at me and says to me and the young guy I'm working with, some Hispanic kid, goes, officer, I'm Marky D from the Fat Boys. My brother's on the job in the 9-0. So the kid says to me, the young rookie cop says to me, oh, I know his brother. I said, you know his brother? He goes, yeah. I said, well, kid, it's a gun collar. What do you want to do here? The guy's got a 32 two-shot Derringer on him. You want the collar or not? No, I can't do that to him. I know his brother, blah, blah, blah. I'd feel bad. See, the kid's his first week on the job. He's telling me, Dad, I don't want the collar, even though I wanted it 2 minutes ago, but now that I know his brother, I don't want it. So think of the whole mental process that just took place there. He had a kid who just got out of police academy. He's working with some guy who's a seasoned veteran. I could give a damn. And I'm trying to show him the streets, right? There's a gun in that bag. How do I know? I show him how I know. He gets the gun. He looks at me. He goes to me, I don't want to lock the guy up and know his brother. So I go, okay. I said, who's this guy? He says, Marky D from the Fat Boys. I'm like, whatever, fat boys, skinny boys, what do I know, right? So he goes to me, so he goes, what are we going to do? I said, what are we going to do? I said, you don't want the collar? He goes, no. I said, well, I'm not taking a collar. I haven't made a collar in 3 years. I'm not taking one now. So Marky D, the guy, I don't know him. He goes, I don't know who he is. Right? First time Marky D, he goes, you have like a fat envelope with hundreds in this little cachet thing, case, whatever, carry case. So he goes, officer, you want the money? I said, dude. I got a rookie here. I didn't tell him that. I'm looking like, I'll take the damn money, but I got a rookie here with me. You don't want the gun collar. I'm sure I take the cash. Now I'm a double jeopardy, right? So I take the gun from Marky B. I walk out the bodega, and Marky B yells out and says, officer, yeah, what's up? Can I have the gun back? I said, you gotta
Are you serious?
I said, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. So the rookie says to me, what are you gonna do with the gun? I said, you gotta ask questions. You don't want the collar. That's enough. You're done. Shut up. Okay? Anyway, Marky D owes me a weekend in Miami Beach. He runs some clubs down there now. He said that he actually, you guys are gonna laugh. He actually heard the story from somebody about a month ago now, and he sent me a message on, everybody communicates today with this Twitter and stuff. He sent me a message, Mike, I love you, and it's all on me. You saved my life. So here I am. I went from being a white cracker from Long Island. Now I'm hanging out in the hood with Marky D. So who's better than me? I got more back now than ever.
Hey, there you go. Good story. Good story. Michael Dowd is our guest on Nexxlegacy Radio, hosted by iambranded Philly. You can check out themikeDowd.com on the website, and you can also check out the 7-5, which is available on Amazon right now. Go check it out. You can watch it on the iTunes app, Showtime app, And Philly, go ahead. Throw your question out there, sir.
Yo, man, with everything that we've been talking about, Mike, I just want to know, when you were growing up, what made you want to become a cop? Like, what made you be like, all right, this is it, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go through the academy, and this is what I want to do. What made you become a cop?
Okay. So I didn't have pajamas on with a badge on it and rub the bedpost and say, my God, I want to be a cop, So that didn't happen here. Okay, in fact, it was the last thing probably on my mind. But I had an interest in the fire department. My father was a firefighter. A well-decorated, well-respected firefighter, and he had 7 kids on Long Island, on the block. And back then there were 7 kids in every household almost. Except for Rodriguez, she only had about 3 or 4, right? I don't know.
Oh, anyway, man, you know.
Something was wrong in that house. Anyway, so they actually probably worked. They probably worked. Anyway, the only Puerto Rican family that worked. Anyway, so joke back in the day. So point is that I'm going to get married, okay? I need the job. So I took it. I took the job, you know. I wanted to marry this woman. Don't ask me why, but she was a lovely woman, and I wanted to get married. So the job was offered, and I took it. And, so
what was the academy like? What was it like going through there?
The academy reminded me when I was in like first grade Catholic school, and I got kicked out of that. So, but it was like that. It was like parochial school, you know. It's like, you know, you're all squared away, and you know, you didn't get hit on the hands though, but you did get start cards. If you got in trouble, they got what they called a start card demerit. So I only got like 2, not bad, because of my big mouth. Yeah. So the academy was a learning process, you know. It was the beginning of the beginning of belonging to a family, which is really nice, to be honest. You know, being a cop, you have to, you know, look, we can joke and talk about a lot of stuff here, but the fact is when you're a cop, you belong to a huge family, you know, huge. I mean, not just New York. You belong to cops throughout the world. And, in fact, point in case, I was in the police department 1985 or so, and I go to Bermuda on vacation. I just took a bunch of money from some drug dealers in East New York, so I paid for my wedding in $5 bills. And then I get on a plane, and I go to Bermuda for my honeymoon. And like it was embarrassing because I know I just, you know, half the city down, and now I'm on my honeymoon, and some cop extends his hand to me in Bermuda, says get on the boat, and he took me around the whole island of Bermuda on like a 4-hour tour. You know, it was a little longer than I thought. Sometimes I could eat his whole shift with me, but the point is, you know, it was like I actually felt odd. You know, here I am doing bad, but I'm being respected from one law enforcement officer to the other. So it was a little, I don't know, you know, I get a little sour pit in my stomach now thinking back on it. It's the first time I actually thought of it that way as we speak just now. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
now, when you
watch
watch
the world was. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. But when you watch the movie or the documentary, The 7-5, you hear a term that gets thrown out, and it's good cop. Even when you're doing the testimony on September 27th, 1993, they ask you to describe a good cop. What is a good cop?
Well, I mean, the definition of a good cop to us back then was a cop that always had the back of another cop. I mean, I can't say any more clearly than that. I mean, we can go over round and around, but that's what it was, you know. You know, let me say something in light of things. You know, I've grown up a little bit. I'm 55 now, not 21. And so I look back at it and I say, you know, many of the things I try to talk about, I do speaking engagements at universities, police departments. I'll be in San Diego next year at a gang conference. I'll be in Minnesota at a correctional department initiative. So I do a lot of speaking and stuff. It's just, look, the fact is that we serve the public. We forget that. You know, we forget that. We become a law enforcement officer. You know, you put that badge on, you swear the oath, you get out there, and you're going to do your job. We forget in the midst of the job that we took this job. Of course we want to get paid a decent salary, but the fact is that's supposed to be secondary to why we're here. And we forget that oftentimes, you know. And then the public forgets it. The public forgets it too. You know, the public thinks, you know, these SOBs, whatever, you know, they're getting nothing but a paycheck. You know, they don't do anything. You call 911, they never show up. You know, so unless you're getting a ticket, that's the only time you see a cop. So it's one of those, you know, us against them things that end up taking place. But the fact is, you know, you're a police officer. You got to serve the public. You know, and freedom is priceless. It's one of the other things I talk about. You know, you put those handcuffs on somebody, you've altered their life forever. So, yeah. So there's a lot of things I've learned and looked back on, the consequences of my actions. I mean, I didn't just ruin my life. I ruined, you know, I affected, well, every police officer in the nation at the time in some, you know, minor way. And then probably, you know, if I count my 47 cousins, you know, every one of their lives was altered in some respect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
wow, this is deep.
Go ahead, Brent.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna just say this is deep in a sense because I feel like, you know, especially in society that we have, and you know, there's a lot of perception as far as on cops and how they do their business or how they conduct business. And like you said, I mean, you know, a lot of people come into, you know, they swear to protect and serve, and you know, a lot of people pick it up as a paycheck, but also it's one of those things where it's just, you know, there's so many uneasy feelings when it comes to being around or affiliated or needing the help of, you know, police officers. And what's your opinion on just perception, not just, you know what I'm saying, as far as, you know, all the talk with Black Lives Matter, and you hear all the talk about cops killing innocents and things like that. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, listen, let's not forget something. I'm still a cop in my heart, okay? So we're not going to, from the perspective of life, bitch, I stepped on it, I crunched it, I peed all over it, whatever you want to say. But the fact is, I still am a cop in my heart, which is part of the sad thing, because I still don't feel connected ever, So that's my sadness that I deal with on a daily basis. But as far as like cops and people, you know what? Look, it's hard for me to answer that except for this. They need more dialogue and less hate. It shouldn't be us against them. It should be, let's talk about what we're dealing with. I'm reading a book right now on it's basically on community policing, I guess, and really, you know what? I never do this. I'm going to tell you the name of this book, and this is some. It's called To Protect and Serve. It's in its what they call advanced reading copy. It's not out there yet. It's by a guy named Norm Stamper. Stamper.
Mm-hmm.
I never plug it. I never plug this stuff. This is not mine. But anyway, I read the first 50 pages of this book, which for me that's a lot. Okay, I don't usually read 5 pages and I usually put it down. And I really was enthralled with the way I was listening to this Ferguson thing that took place, and they drew it up,
right.
And they drew up 2 different scenarios. When I heard the first one, I had tears in my eyes. It was so nice. Like the interaction was so nice. I'm like, that's so. I'm like, I said, did this really happen? No one would get killed if this happened. Okay, and here I am, an objective person reading this for the first time, and I had tears in my eyes. Wow, this is so sweet. How could anybody end up getting killed here? It's ridiculous. Then I started reading further. He goes, of course, that didn't happen. And then they go on to explain the actual confrontation with it. Ferguson, Michael Brown ends up getting shot, and the officer and Darren gets his eye socket blown out, whatever. So the point being is, I'm like, Ken, if every interaction with the police is so smooth, I mean, it's this. I use this too. I explain things. In the 80s, the whole environment, and this is why I take a little bit responsibility for today. And I don't mean personal, but people like myself, the era of the 80s.
Right.
Today, you have adults today that have raised children from the effects of the crack era policing. Do you get what I'm saying?
I got you.
So now, I'm a 50-year-old adult, male, female, and I have 17-year-old, 21-year-old, 24-year-old, 19-year-old young males, whether they be black, Hispanic, or white, doesn't matter. And I've raised them on my understanding of policing from the 80s and into the 90s. So the first interaction that my young person, or let's name the city, any city in L.A. has with the police is based on what their parents are teaching them from their experience, which is based on the horrific genre of the 80s where cops were, doing a lot of crazy stuff, robbing, stealing, selling. I mean, listen, from the time I was arrested to the time, there was probably about between 1,100 and 1,500 cops arrested for drugs in New York City in an 8-10 year span, okay? I just happened to be the one that they, put the big mask on and said he's the problem right there. Goodbye, get rid of him.
Yeah.
And so in every single major city in the United States of America, from Miami to San Diego to Seattle, has had a scandal. Chicago, Milwaukee, you name the city, there's been a scandal. Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong.
No, that's true. So do you think that they made an example out of you?
Well, I mean, listen, I'm not going to be. Listen. Many people think I should have been in prison for life, okay? So, but they made a public example out of me, because New York media, the news. I mean, basically, I was actually offered, come on in and I'll give you a 5-year deal and go home, Dowd. Go lay down. But then the newspapers got hold of it and they started pumping it. Now I became this big cherry, And believe it or not, that's how this world works. Whether you want to agree with it or not, so.
No, that's the truth. Do you think if you were 21 years old today, 22 years old, however old you were when you were doing what you were doing, do you think that you would be able to do what you did back then today?
No. No. I mean, I think I'm slick, but I'm not that slick. You know, with all these cameras and yeah. And listen, I'm slick, but I'm not that slick. I mean, there's always a way, but you got to be careful. But the point is, people are getting caught all the time, still doing it. A couple of weeks ago, there was a female cop robbing a cash register on camera. I mean, for Christ's sake, it was a camera. And most of these bodegas had cameras. Anyway, so, I mean, it goes on still, but it's foolishness today. I look at it like this, and this may be helpful too. But when you sit in the car today with another police officer, like a partner, let's call them partners, okay? You sit in the police car with a partner today. If you're going to do something rogue, you got to remember one thing. You ain't just doing something rogue for you and for that person. You're going to take that other person's family down with you. So you're willing to put both your life and your partner's family's life in jeopardy. I don't mean physical jeopardy per se, but, you know, destroy his wife and kids. This is the things that I often go over myself in my head and say, you know, that's the way to start an anti-corruption campaign. You know, if you love your partner, because, you know, police work, you find a loving bond. You see what happened with Kenny and I. I love the guy implicitly. While he was turning on me, I was still loving him, saying, you can't possibly be turning on me, can you? No, you're not. No, are you? I mean, on and on and on. I mean, for weeks I was going through this. You can't be turning on me, can he? I kept letting him back in the door of my heart, you know? And so this is the relationship you've formed. Look, the soldiers do it in war, right? To come back, this my buddy for life. Didn't matter your ethnicity. You were black, you were white, you were Asian. You were partners in that foxhole. You know, the same thing in the police work. You know, you're my partner. If I'm willing to put your family's life in jeopardy, then I'm really not your partner. How's that? Does that make sense? Would that be like a good little nutshell to grab onto? I don't know.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is definitely deep. And we do have Michael Dowd as our guest on Nexxlegacy Radio, hosted by iambranded Philly. You can check out the 7.5, which is available on Amazon. You can watch it on the Showtime app. It is available right now to check out. And, you know, with this being a music station as well as just a regular talk show station as well, we have, and I'm not sure if Philly has told you this, but, you know, we are like massive, and we've always been massive, like Tupac fans and things like that. And you take a look at Detective Greg Kading, because he's going to be our guest later on in the month, beginning of May. And when you look at just the deaths and the murders of the Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac, and you look at just everything from the Vegas scene to the L.A. scene, and even back in '94 when they were at Quad Studios, and a lot of it seemed to be linked in. What's your, just from the outside looking in, you being a former cop, you being in that life, so to speak, what do you take from everything that's being kind of talked about now between the two murders?
Okay, look, I'm not up on them at all, so I don't know anything fresh about it. But if you ask me from my perspective back in the days, I would, but only when they went down. I don't know the current speak about it. Only thing I can say back then is it seemed like it was just rivalry between the different factions, whether it was, I don't know, Crips or Bloods. I don't want to put their names out there if it's not the case, but I don't know who was in control of those people back then. But the fact is, it was around the drug trade. Let's not kid ourselves. And it's about money. Listen, money kills, right? You make the world go around, and people kill over it. You know, one thing I wanted to talk about briefly is, another thing I don't usually plug, but I just heard a song yesterday, okay? It was by a guy named Unique Zayas. Z-A-Y-A-S, a kid from Brooklyn, and they sent me the song because I'm actually beginning to develop some kind of a label around my whole the Dowd name, and they sent me a song called Dear Brooklyn. Well, it takes a lot for me to like anything. Like my ears quick and I'm gone. Like if I don't really like what you're saying, I'm really not listening to you anymore. I'm done with you. Like in like 12 seconds. And, like, I'm into this. I mean, I tweeted back to the guy in, like, I'd say 20 seconds. I said, song's a hit. Love it. Now, there may be a few things he's got to work on, but I want to shout it out there because the guy really took his time, and he's been actually working with me with the Archive Entertainment and Unique Zayas and Dear Brooklyn. I tell you, is it applaud? Hey, tears in my eyes, listen to the song. And, you know, I'm a softie at heart. You know, we're all lovers. We all want to be anyway, you know. So,
yeah, we all have to be. We definitely are. Yeah. We're men. We're afraid. You know, we're not afraid to, you know, express ourselves. It's okay. It's all good.
Yeah. You know. So I mean, I kissed that wall for 12 and a half years. You know what I'm saying? So I deserve a soft thing now, and something soft and cement. You know.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So would you say
And real quick, just the reason why I brought that up was because, I know at that time there was a lot of, I don't know if it's rampant now, but I know there was a lot of off-duty police officers working for, different labels or different different other factions. They moonlit in certain degrees. So, it was just kind of a curiosity thing because I know there was a lot of different things that went on back then. So, it was always, just wanted to get a fresh perspective too.
Yeah, you know what? I wasn't aware of all, but in the city, New York City, we had a bunch of off-duty cops that were deeply involved in I hate to say it, but if they were involved directly with the rap groups and the drug dealing that was going on. And I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about local people that grew up with these guys that were in the rap scene. They started with the crack, they became rappers, and the cops were so close to them as children growing up that they ended up, working with them. So I can't say more than that, but I'm not gonna go any further than something I'm not schooled on. And I'm not like that.
I hear you.
Yeah,
I hear you.
Now, what you're saying that you're going to take the Dowd name and do your own label. Like, are you going to take the Dowd name and do like a little production company, entertainment company? What do you plan on doing with that in the future?
Yeah, well, right now I'm working with this group, actually out of Atlanta, but they have a New York office as well. And we're trying to develop a let's call it a rap or a hip hop mix where we talk about positive stuff. We could talk about the negative, but it has to be positive. Otherwise, I don't want to be connected with it. You can say anything you want in the world, but as long as you have a positive spin and promote, positive change, I'm good with that. So that's what we're looking at doing. And I got some cigars, by the way. You remember that? I got to get you some cigars, Philly.
Oh, please do. Please do. I love cigars.
And I was gonna, and Mike, I was gonna mention that too. Like, you got this cigar thing. Tell us a little bit about that and what's going on with your cigar line.
So the interesting thing about the cigars is, of course, I got some backlash. Anytime I do anything, I get backlash. So what happened was I've been going on a lot of shows like your own, and I've probably done 50 podcasts and radio shows and TV things and whatnot. And because my book is not fast coming, you want to promote something. I have to make a living. No one's paying me to do anything, okay? So and my job's very tenuous because of my situation. It took me 11 years to get a job. Actually 10 years to get a job because of my felony. I get the job, and a year later they let me go because of the documentary. So I needed to be able to promote something where I can maybe make some money. So I got in touch with Diaz. Maybe it wasn't the smartest choice in the world, but I did because he's in DR and they make cigars down there, And he happened to have a cousin that's involved in the cigar business. So they started rolling up cigars, and we started promoting them on my website, my Twitter, and Instagram, and shows, and Joe Rogan's show, because I did a lot of the major shows. Artie Lang, Joe Rogan, Nick DiPaolo, Joey Coco Diaz, and I go on the shows and I smoke a cigar. I don't smoke much, but I light one up, and I get in trouble for lighting the room, whatever. And then so I'm promoting cigar because I got to stop paying my bills somehow. And then the police call me, someone got mad and they put a newspaper article out with the Post, because the Post loves me. I mean, I should get a percentage of the New York Post, okay? Every time I do something, they put me on the front page or centerfold, and it's a big blast. And they sell more papers that day, and then I get people looking at me in the news in the store. Is that him? Is that him over there? So it's never ending. But I tell you the truth, in the last probably 6 months or so, I've probably been accosted in a positive way by probably 100, 150 people coming over and shaking my hand, saying, "Hey, we're glad what you did. Your honesty is refreshing. Whatever you did in the past is the past." But so really a lot of positiveness. And then Sony, of course, is coming out hopefully in the next 18 months. Otherwise, I get my contract back, which would be great. But I hate to say it, but better for me. But anyway, so Sony owns me now for the next 18 months. They've already got me down 18, so they put something together, like a good fellow for the cops, So, should be interesting.
So is that more information that people can be able to check out on the website? They can go to MikeDowd.com.
Yeah, the MikeDowd.com. I don't necessarily have information about the movie, but sometimes I'll put something up there. Twitter, the Mike Dowd, Instagram, the Mike Dowd, things like that. And a shout out to a couple of my peeps out there. You got Lisa up in Canada and Helena in the UK, and all my other people. They know who they are. I love them. To be honest with you, if it wasn't for Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff, I would just be flowering, like wondering. People have been really positive. It's been amazing.
And I encourage people to go check out the 7-5, which is available on Amazon. If you haven't seen this documentary, I'm telling you, it's one of the best documentaries out there to date. Not just saying that because our guest is on the line, but to me, I just feel like it's a good tutorial for educating yourself, not just about the system in itself and how the police system works, but just in general. I think I think everybody goes through life lessons, right, Mike? And I think we all kind of go through our challenges and stuff.
It's epic to the 80s, but it resonates today. A lot of the 80s is in vogue today, right? Well, there you go. It's epic, and you can't miss it. It's a no miss. It's unbelievable.
Indeed.
I think it's
Billy,
great,
what
man.
you got for another question or so?
Just the honesty that's in the documentary, man. Like you really don't find that. You know what I mean? Like, and with your perspective, like you were on both sides, which I think is just phenomenal. I just had to let you know that. But if you haven't seen the 7-5, you definitely got to check it out, man. It was like the Wild West of the 1980s in New York. It was crazy.
So
Shit you hear about. It's like stuff you hear about, but you never get to talk to the person who did it.
So one of my good friends along the way is a guy named Mickey Monday. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Cocaine Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
It's a documentary about
sure did.
Yeah. Mickey Monday and I used to walk the track together in Mariana, Florida. And he tells me one day, he goes, Mike, they're going to do a book and a movie, and that's about you. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, oh, yeah, they're going to. So, P.S., I end up down in Miami about a year ago, him and I sitting down eating lunch, which we hadn't seen each other since 1994 or something like that. And he goes, Mike, your documentary's unbelievable. It's better than mine. So, hey, for a guy from the Cocaine Cowboys, which had a very good rating, I'm going to put it out there that 7-5 was rated by him better than his. So, how's that?
Indeed. Indeed. And Mike, before we let you go with a couple of quick questions, is there anything left unsaid when it comes to this current documentary out, and will there be a follow-up to it, or will there be something in the sense where you still have more stories to tell?
Well, I mean, we're definitely going to do it. We're definitely working on a book. It's just I need the right proper publisher and the author to get together. I probably need to be realistic about the numbers, and I would have had it already if I did. And so the book answers so many questions that, like, people have no idea. Like, the documentary is like 1% of the story. So it's a fascinating life. I mean, I can't believe I survived it. How's that, Like I use the term, we survived the 80s, Wow, amazing. Yeah.
So when you say 1%, when you say 1%, that's wow. I mean, it kind of makes me a little bit curious as far as what else, like what are the other 99% as far as the story that that my man Mr. Michael Dowd has to tell. So I'm very curious now.
I'll give you a small tidbit.
Okay.
A guy comes up to me in Coney Island and says, you don't belong here. I'm in Coney. I just got transferred to Coney Island for the summer detail because I'm in trouble in the 7-5. They want me out of there. So I'm walking the beat in Coney Island. The guy says, you don't belong here. I go, what do you mean? How do you know? Yes, you see the numbers on my belt. Because cops take their numbers from their shoulder and put them on their belt when they shift commands, when they switch commands. So he sees the 7-5 on my belt. He says, I didn't see your belt. He says, you're Batman and Robin, you and your partner. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, yeah, I pulled my 280ZX. Back in the day, it was 280ZX. He pulled my 280ZX. I think it was burgundy or maroon or something. And you stripped the whole thing down, and you missed the 5 kilos in the back trunk. I said, you son of a bitch.
Wow. Wow. Whoa.
Whoa. He goes, yeah. I go, he goes, when you get back, we're going to go to work. I said, you're on.
Wow.
You can't make this up. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
With you saying that, before we let you go, there's a part in the documentary where you're doing patrol, you get a call, you go up into an apartment, and I believe it was a detective, but there's a big bag of money in the closet.
Yeah.
And you can tell that story. You got to tell that really quick.
Oh, tell them to watch the documentary. That story's in the doc. Well, the bottom line is I was working with a girl from Internal Affairs who they put in the car with me, which I do, and then I kept circling the block for like an hour because there was a bag of money in the house, and I couldn't get the money out because I didn't want the cops to see me stealing it. So I just circled the block for about an hour, and my boy Chicky, who's in the movie, and another guy who remains anonymous, they were both off the job. And then they showed up with their detective badges on, walked in with their suit and tie. I took the bag, and we headed to Atlantic City in limousine. That's the short of it. That's the short of it. Okay?
Yeah, and you know what? And that was a scene that people definitely need to when you look at that on the documentary. Yeah, they're gonna be able to grab onto that one. That I mean, it's so. I mean, to me, it's one of the best ones. And like I said, I just encourage people to go check it out. If you haven't, the 7.5 is available on Amazon. You can go check it out. You can watch the trailer. Just Google it, YouTube it. You know, you can watch it on your Showtime app. It is available now. Go check it.
If you go to themikeDowd.com and download it, I get 60 cents. If you want to support me. Because I still need a job.
Better yet, let's direct traffic. Go to the MikeDowd.com and make sure you support
Amazon
this
link.
man.
I think my son's paying for his college with it. But anyway, I think I get 60 cents.
There you go.
Because I don't control much of my stuff. My son holds on to all that stuff. Dad, you owe me. Dad, you owe me. You were gone for 12 and a half years. You owe me. Okay.
Hey, as we close, man,
guys,
I gotta thank you for not just coming on, but just, I mean, to me, it's like a man that has learned from the mistakes of the past. I mean, to me, it's not even cliche. It's stuff that you've done in your past. You've learned from it. You've able to push on to be able to just kind of give people game, educate them, and it's not even glorifying it. It's just being able to just say, hey, you know what, this is the wrong that I did, and this is the path I chose, so maybe somebody else might not have to go that route. So, you know, it's a nice story, and I'm glad that you had the courage to be able to do it. I think that's really big.
Thanks for having me on. Remember, laugh at life, because, you know, no, everybody else is laughing at you. You might as well laugh with them. You know?
True.
God bless you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Mike, thank you very much.
Appreciate it. That is Mr. Michael Dowd, right here live on Nexxlegacy Radio. Appreciate this man. Just giving game. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play song, come back, and Phil and I, we're gonna go ahead and you know what I'm saying, just give our closing tutorials as we get ready to kickstart this. Appreciate it, man. That was a good interview.
Nexxlegacy.